Sana is at the top of her game right now, but I don't know how much longer she's going to play in that center back role, right? She could drop higher, she can play in all these different roles, whereas you have someone like Sams who is very much at the start of her career. She's coming off the best club season that she has ever had, that we've seen as a defender in the NWSL in a long time. After the US played England on Saturday, Sandra and I jumped on, we recapped it, we chatted all about it. Christine, we didn't get your thoughts yet. It was a nil-nil draw between the US and England. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? What's your takeaway from that game?
And I think why not both, right? So I didn't anticipate that we'd pull up with a nil-nil draw. I initially, I think boldly thought they'd come up with a 2-1 with the US winning. But I think there were positives to take away from it. I think that the top line functioned as I kind of anticipated it would. It's essentially a rookie. It's a little bit of experience, but again, not necessarily a top line that plays together typically. So a little bit of hiccups here and there. Fine. My initial reaction, I'd say like first 10 minutes was like, ooh, the movement looks good. We got to like some 1-2 passing. We've got a little bit of sauciness. I think that that got tempered a little bit. I think that some of the substitutions changed things. I think that that was a good sign. If this is a test, and it should be, it tells Emma, who's maybe ready to step up, who's better chemistry together. I thought that they looked good on the counter press. I think that there were positive points. I think the big blight that I don't think anybody's going to argue with me is the lack of finishing. I think that there I was a little bit surprised. Granted, England aren't a team that are going to roll over, although, they were really effective with their mid and low blocks.
Mhm. Yeah, the English midfield and low block, mid block was very effective against the US. That match ended, and the US only had 3 shots on target, 10 shots total. There was one off the post, I believe. There was moments where things got really close for the US. Now, in their final game, they will take on the Netherlands. It is a big day for Lily Johannes and her family because she recently announced that she will play for the US women's national team. This is a young teenage midfielder. She lives in Netherlands, but was born in Virginia. But when she was 10 years old, moved to the Netherlands. She now is, this is a homecoming for her. She says she's going to play for the US. She now gets to play against the Netherlands in the Netherlands. The emotions have to be pretty high here, Christine, for Lily Johannes. You imagine she's going to have a pretty big contingency in the stands.
Yeah, I think. I mean, we'll get to this a little bit later, but I think that's one of the reasons. And I know this England match, we saw some starts come up that maybe were a little bit unexpected, at least for me. So I'm like, listen, if Emma is going to be tinkering and she's going to be pushing out starts that you kind of don't expect, maybe we see Lily start just as a statement, as like a hey kid, like you got this, vote of confidence, show them what you got, homecoming kind of a thing, which I would love that storyline. I want to like sink my teeth into that.
Well,
I
we did
think
that.
that
We gave our predicted 11. So do you have her? Let's go, Christine. Take us through
I
your
There
predicted
you
I
US
go.
Women's
do, I
National Team
do, I
11.
do have her. I do have her. I think that, well, here we go. Perfect little segue. So, I think that I tinkered a little bit here again in the spirit of like what worked in this past game and just kind of trying to predict where Emma's head is at. I do want to see what some of the kids can do. I think Rose is really important there. I think Horan didn't have her greatest match last go. I think let Lily cook, Jaden stepped up. She looked good and sharp. That back line was rock solid. In my head, a little bit, I wanted to see if I could plug and play Sam's. But I think that they just worked really well together. And if we're going to tinker in the midfield and the top line, Yaz came up big. I think she's really great, can play with both feet, really good at receiving the ball in tight spaces. Again, Alyssa Thompson, not afraid of 1v1s, and Lynn Williams for a little bit of that experience and a nose for a goal. She will find that toe poke. She will be unrelenting. I think that that's the best. I think the only other place where I had a big fat question mark, and this is an emotional question mark, is I think we give this last match to Alyssa Nair, but I am dying, dying,
Mm.
dying to see Fallon Tullis Joyce between the sticks.
Interesting.
Mm.
People, I gotta say, I'm a little surprised. I really thought you were gonna put your girl, Ellis Joyce,
I
in the
was.
back there.
So I tried to be a little bit tempered because you know how I think a lot of us have the problem of like aspirational starting 11s with the tempering of trying to be goddamn right. I just
Yep.
want to come on here and like puff my chest out and be like, see, I told you. But
Yeah.
also, you gotta ride the line. But yeah, if Fallon Tullis Joyce gets, I want to start her. I want to start her, but I also feel like you have to give Alyssa the send off she deserves. So, like, does that mean we waste a sub on a keeper? Like, it depends on how the game goes. Okay, we got to remember, like, the last time that they played the Netherlands, uh, this was also that wonky throwback where we have Savannah DeMello get the call up. So,
Exactly.
like,
So,
we talk
Christine,
about that.
in the emotional aspect of Alyssa Nair, knowing this is her final game, how do you feel about teams giving them a big emotional send off, perhaps wasting a sub on them versus just we have to play the game and we have to win? What side of the coin do you stand on?
Um, I hate to say this because I do the emotional side of the game is what's so important to fans. It adds that extra layer of humanity. And I do think that someone as decorated as a listener deserves the send off. I think that eventually you need to be pragmatic. You need to see if one of these keepers is viable. Obviously, there are other keepers that weren't called up to this camp, Casey Murphy, Jane Campbell, that we know what they can do. I think it's important to see, what you can do in a game. So, like, yeah, I do think you got to get somebody in the game and see how this all works out, especially if we keep that back line solid and we know it is. I think now's the time to try it.
I like the shout, Christine. Okay, good starting lineup. People on YouTube, they like it too. But Sandra, let's see yours. Do you have Alyssa Nair? Do you have Lily Johannes? These are the hot topic players right now. Take us through
They're
your starting 11.
they're taking on Netherlands 100%. I've got Lily Johannes starting in this game, but I want to see rotation, 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 rotation. There's a huge
Ooh, big Hal in that midfield.
opportunity.
I see you.
Huge opportunity here for Emma Hayes, her coaching staff, and really this collection of 24 players that she's brought into this European camp. So I've got Tullis Joyce starting in net. There's no better send off, I think, in my opinion, for a listener than the Bright Lights of Wembley. I think maybe in the future they might do a little bit of like one of those games where they honor her at halftime. I don't think it's going to be in Europe. I think that's going to be back home in the States. So Tullis Joyce getting the start for me. I want rotation in the back line. Give me Emily Sam. She's the best defender in 2024 for me. Mallinson alongside her. Davidson, if she's fit, hopefully she is. She's in this camp. Get some minutes. And Neishwanger on the other side at fullback. I've got Shaw, Johannes, and Hirschfeld and kind of a midfield trio here. And Thompson, Ali Sentner, and Yasmin Ryan to round out the attack. I want this front six to be vicious. We need goals. We got to see it. And Thompson, I thought, had a really, really good game against England, just was not able to find the back of the net on her own chances. Final pass, maybe just a little off at times. But Yasmin Ryan coming into that game really, really brought the juice. So I want to see that happening, maybe alongside Ali Sentner as well.
Sandra, after the US played England, correct me if I'm wrong, you came on this Attacking Third show and you said that the back line for the US was amazing. You don't have
Incredible.
a single one of those players
No,
starting.
wrestling. Enjoy your
You
holiday.
said y'all are good. Okay, sub out.
Thank you for your service. Enjoy it. What a 2024. Let me get that rotation in here. Let's go.
I like it. A lot of young players, though. A lot of young players that could prove some question marks. How do you want them to be tested?
Well, for starters, I don't want to see them get pushed around. That was one thing you and I talked a little bit about in that England game. We felt like every once in a while we would see Lindsay Horan kind of get knocked off a little bit. Didn't like to see that. Don't let the midfield get bullied like that. And who knows? Maybe Hal Hirschfeld is the one that can bring a bit of that crunch, right? And maybe kind of have that response. And this is going to be a different type of team in Netherlands. It's not going to be the same type of stuff that we're maybe seeing against England. But because of that is part of why I want to see some of this rotation. And at least with this personnel, for me, maybe it's not so much of a 4-3-3. Maybe it's like a 4-1-4. Like, it's maybe there's some shifting in between. But not only do I want to see this team not get bullied on the pitch, I want to see them manifest their attack into actual goals. It was absolutely the final piece that was missing in that England game. I thought with what they were being presented in the mid to low block, I thought they handled it mostly okay, but the goals just never came for them. And thankfully that's for the defensive side of things. But lots of rotation, I think for me means I want to see some different things.
Goals is absolutely what's necessary for the U.S. In this game. I think the biggest holes is without triple espresso. No Sophia Smith, Trinity Rodman, Mallory Swanson called up to this camp. Where are the chances going to be created from? Who is going to score the goals? And we didn't see any of them in the last game for the U.S. And in this game against the Netherlands, my predicted starting 11 is going to score all the goals. They have to,
Totally.
because Yasmin Ryan came off the bench and had an electric game, especially her first 15 minutes. She changed everything. Creativity spark, energetic spark, going 1v1, creating shakeups in the front line. Yasmin Ryan deserves the start. Jaden Shaw also in the front line. And Alyssa Thompson. Thompson is getting her confidence back. Give her more time. Let's see what she can do. I've got a young, uh, uh excited and hungry front three that I am
Yes.
going with. I have Lily Johannes, of course, earning and deserving the start in the midfield. I mean, she deserves this. Plus, she's going to have a little bit of nerves. She needs to learn how to manage those in big games against the Netherlands. I think this is the perfect time to test her and give her that experience. This is arguably like one of the biggest games she could play in her young career so far because of the stakes going against the Netherlands. Sam Coffey and Rose Lavelle in the midfield to help even things out with some of the veterans there. And across the back line, I have Jenna Neiswanger and Emily Sam slotting in from the last game. The only two changes I have in the defensive five, but with Germa and Sams in those center back roles, they need to be on point. I think that duo of Sams and Germa is the future defensively of the U.S. women's
I love
national
that.
team.
You did what I did not have the cojones to do.
I had to,
I was
Christine,
like, yo,
because
am I pulling Sonnet? Am I pulling Sonnet?
Yeah.
Sonnet had an incredible
Oh,
game, and Sonnet is at the top of her game right now, but I don't know how much longer she's going to play in that center back role, right? She could drop higher, she can play in all these different roles, whereas you have someone like Sams who is very much at the start of her career. She's coming off the best club season that she has ever had, that we've seen as a defender in the NWSL in a long time, and I want them to start, gearing up together, and then Fox in the back line. It was hard for me to mess with this back line because Kruger, Fox, Germa, Sonnet, they had such a good game last
Yep.
time.
yeah.
Yeah, I do like the thought of Sam's being back there tucked in with Fox because we know Fox likes to get up and they can absolutely overlap each other. One can sit and be that anchor, one can just fly high.
Yeah.
And I do like to see more of that out of Fox.
Yeah.
I also
100%.
have Alyssa Nair starting in goal, which
Yeah.
been a bit of a topic of conversation.
It
I
has
wouldn't
been.
have
And
her.
look, as much rotation as I have, I feel like you guys are probably a little bit more on track for what we're gonna see.
Well, I was a little bit more
Of
conservative, which is
course.
like wild for me because, me, world renowned selector of Yasmin Ryan
Yeah.
midfielder, putting her in the top line.
I mean, yeah, just throw Alyssa Nair as the 9. Why not?
Yeah,
But as
why
Look
her
at
not?
that.
last game, I think she is going to get the start. And then maybe a sub be used to take Nair off, give her the leaving applause and flowers that she deserves. Because as a keeper, you never really get subbed off. I think that
Yeah.
could be kind of interesting.
I
But
feel like it would be a good sub off, like clap off moment just to give her, because, like for her to finish a game, it's just like any other regular game for her.
In the
And
Netherlands, I'm like,
I know, I know.